Recap Star Army, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a challenge for you. This isn't just a regular recap, this is a roller coaster ride of emotions. I advise the faint of hearting to turn back now because once we cross this line, there is no return. If you think you can handle the excitement, then buckle up and let the show begin. The movie kicks off with Rohan, a blind guy living solo in his apartment, totally used to everything around him and able to handle his own business perfectly. He's on a call with a lady who's setting him up on a blind date. No pun intended. So he gets ready and heads down to the meeting spot near his place. He finds the neighbor's kid, Parsi, standing there with his bike because the chain popped off, so Rohan decides to stop and help him fix it. Parsi asks him how he can tell who everyone is around him, and Rohan tells him the main thing is self-confidence and that he relies on distinguishing the smells around him. After that, he whips out his walking cane and heads to the restaurant where he's supposed to meet the girl. When he gets there, he meets the lady introducing them and sits at the same table. The girl introduces herself as Sue and tells him she only came today so she wouldn't upset the woman who raised her, but honestly, she doesn't want to get married. She's independent, and she hopes he rejects her so she can get a break from all the pressure. Rohan is surprised by her talk and asks why she'd reject him specifically. She tells him that darkness doesn't light up darkness, plus their lives would be super hard if they got together. Rohan tells her that having a partner in the dark is better than staying alone and says he won't decide to reject her until she actually gets to know him and is sure about her decision. They wrap up the meeting and leave the restaurant, and there's this festival going on outside. Sue catches the eye of some guy in the crowd who just keeps staring at her until the festival ends. Sue grabs a ride home, and Rohan asks if he can see her again soon. She tells him she plays music at a dance class and he can come along. Then she heads home. The guy who was watching her is still tracking them with two of his buddies, and they're laughing at Rohan, saying it's the first time they've seen a blind guy love a blind girl and that love is supposed to be blind, not the person getting married. Rohan goes to see her the next day at the dance studio, finds everyone on break, and asks Sue to dance. She feels shy because, well, two blind people dancing might look weird, but he grabs her hand, asks for the dimensions of the dance floor, and starts dancing with her to show her he can do it even without sight. After seeing them dance, everyone else decides to jump in and help so they don't fall or lose each other. Eventually, Sue falls in love with Rohan and agrees to marry him. They go out because Sue wants to buy new shoes, so Rohan makes her try on every single pair in the shop until he finds one with a specific click sound on the floor and tells her to buy that one. While walking in the mall, there's a stage with an actor talking to a crowd, and because of the rush, Rohan gets separated from Sue. Her hand slips from his and the crowd pushes them apart. They try to find each other until Rohan climbs onto the stage, points at the actor, and demands he call out for his girl because she's lost and he needs to find her. The actor gives in the mic. The actor tells him to call her himself, so Rohan speaks to Sue over the mic, apologizes for letting go of her hand, promises never to do it again, and says he's waiting right there on the stage. He hears the click of her shoes on the floor getting closer, so he knows Sue found her way, and she comes back to him. He holds her hand the rest of the day, refusing to let go so she doesn't get lost again. He tells her he was born in the dark, but today was the first time he actually felt the darkness when he lost her, because she's become the only light in his life. You could say he loved her at first sight, figuratively, and they laugh together. Next day, he takes her to see their new apartment along with his buddy, telling her they'll get the keys soon once it's finished. Rohan has the apartment's dimensions memorized so well that he saves his brother, or friend, from falling down an elevator shaft because the guy wasn't watching his step. Rohan says the distance between the service elevator and the hole is 60 feet, and he needs to be careful since it's a construction zone, showing that he always secures himself and had a safety rope tied around his waist. Sue is over the moon imagining the furniture, saying it's the first time she's dared to dream like this because she used to be scared to dream since her eyesight usually stopped her from achieving anything. Rohan promises he'll try to make all her dreams come true and turn their life into a paradise. He takes her out everywhere she ever wanted to go and proposes to her romantically in front of everyone by the sea. They get married in a temporary apartment in Rohan's neighborhood until their place is ready, living a quiet, simple life. Cut to the group of friends led by Amit, the guy who creeped on Sue at the festival and mocked Rohan. Amit is waiting under his friend Wasim's balcony for him to come down so they can go party. Wasim's dad is always trying to get him to be responsible and stop hanging out with Amit. The reason is that Amit is the minister's younger brother, so naturally he's spoiled and loaded. The dad tells Wasim they're meat merchants and need to keep the business running and, more importantly, provide a decent life for Wasim's love sister. But Wasim is a reckless guy who just wants to party and ignores his dad. He goes to hang out with Amit at his abandoned theater. They make fun of the marriage that happened in the neighborhood, joking about two blind people getting hitched. Meanwhile, Rohan works as a dubbing expert, relying on his throat throat to change voices effortlessly. That's his talent, mimicking voices and dubbing cartoons. The studio manager is amazed by his ability to switch voices. He's such a pro that he mimics the actor Amitabh Bachchan to call his wife and make her day, thinking she's talking to her favorite star. At the end of the day, he takes her to a restaurant and gives her a watch as a gift because she needed one. She holds his hand and tells him she already bought one and is wearing it on her other hand, so she'll wear both, one to tell the time and the other to know how much her husband loves her. They head home, and when Rohan pays the tuk-tuk driver, the driver tries to scam him by giving back less change. But Rohan has memorized the size of every bill and measures it on his hand first, realizing the driver is trying to hustle him, so he doesn't let him get away with it. On the way home, Rohan feels someone watching him and senses Amit is right in front of him. He tells him to show himself and quit hiding because he can sense him. Amit steps out and says he wishes he could get a woman to love him like that but fails, and wants to be like Rohan and get a beauty like his wife to love him. Rohan gets mad at Amit for talking about Sue disrespectfully, smacks him and warns him not to get near Sue or touch her. Sue screams and Amit and Wasim run off before anyone sees them fighting a blind guy. The next day, Rohan is at work and Sue goes out to give something to her neighbor, leaving the door unlocked behind her. When she gets back to her apartment, Amit and Wasim are waiting inside. They drug her and assault her. Rohan comes home from work, starts telling his wife about his day, then hears her moaning because she's tied to the bed. He unties her and reports what happened to the police. They come to investigate. Officer Chaube, who is in charge of Sue's case, tells him they've put Amit and Wasim under surveillance and that Sue needs to see a forensic doctor within 24 hours. Laudy, the assistant inspector, thinks there's no case and no reliable evidence because nobody saw the attackers enter and they didn't say a word during the assault. He argues that Sue only identified them by smell, and it's not like she can go to court and sniff everyone to pick out Amit and Wasim. They order Chaube to take Sue and her husband to forensics, so they head to the hospital. Suddenly, a car blocks their way. Guys get out saying Inspector Chaube sent them to drive them to the hospital. As soon as they get in, they are drugged, kidnapped, and thrown into an abandoned warehouse until 24 hours have passed, so there's no hope of catching the culprit. After the 24 hours are up, they are taken and dumped into the sea, so any evidence on Sue's body or clothes is washed away. Once they manage to get out of the sea, they go to the hospital. Sue gets examined, but the doctor tells them not to expect any results in the report because it's been more than 24 hours and all evidence was destroyed in the water. The forensic report comes back with zero evidence against the perp. They tell Laudy, but he doesn't believe them and claims they staged the whole thing to blackmail the minister since they know Amit is his brother. Any hope Sue and Rohan had of getting justice is destroyed. Sue keeps begging her husband to take her home because nobody sees her as a victim. They go back home, their lives turned into a living hell because of their helplessness. Rohan can't forgive himself. He has to go to work the next day to finish the series he's dubbing. When he finishes and comes home, he goes to the room where Sue is, apologizing for his weakness, admitting that in his grief he forgot to comfort her and was wrong for his silence. He keeps talking to her, but it turns out Sue has ended her life because she couldn't live with what happened. Rohan breaks down when he feels her feet hitting his back. Sue dies and Rohan is completely destroyed. After her funeral, Rohan sits alone at home. Minister Scheller, Amit's brother, comes to offer condolences and to threaten him not to talk too much about what happened because he wants to be prime minister. He tells him to stop ruining his reputation or he'll destroy him and not to talk to the press or police again. He adds that he's confused why his wife didn't kill herself after the first rape but did after the second, then leaves. Rohan realizes his wife was assaulted a second time while he was at work. He remembers sitting on the bed and feeling a piece of paper with her 2 watches on it. He runs to the room, finds the paper under the bed. It's a note Sue wrote before ending her life. She says she knows he and his love aren't weak, but she couldn't survive what happened to her the second time. She explains she was cooking. A kid's ball rolled into the apartment. She opened the door to give it back, and Amit and Wasim barged in again. This time, she heard his voice telling her he could come in whenever he wanted, and she couldn't do anything or prove anything. That was the moment she decided to end it. She apologizes for leaving him alone and asks him to burn one of her watches and bury the other. Rohan now knows everything. He keeps going to the police station to see Chaube, but Laudy keeps saying he's not there or busy. Rohan gets angry, looks towards Chaube's office, and says he's not leaving until he sees him because he knows he's there. Chaube sees him and finally agrees to talk. Rohan enters and tells him Sue knew she wouldn't get justice because the law is weak and that she tried to cope after the first time, but after the second time, she broke and chose death. Chabi is surprised she was raped twice. Lauti tries to call Rohan a liar, saying it's just another made-up story. But Rohan tells them he doesn't want anything from them. He didn't come to report anyone. He just came to tell them he is going to answer for what happened to his wife, and nobody will be able to catch him, just like nobody could catch the minister's brother and his friend. He says he's going to commit the perfect crime right under their noses, and even though they can see and speak, they won't have anything to say. They'll understand everything but won't be able to explain it or stop it. He says Amit and the minister started the game and the police enjoyed the drama, but he will write the ending, and nobody in this game will survive. The ending is death. It turns out Lauti is one of Shalar's men, paid 400,000 to help cover up Amit's mess. Shalar warns his brother Amit not to do anything stupid again because the election campaign is in 2 months. Amit says he'll be careful, but he ignores his brother and goes to the casino to party with Wasim. Rohan is already at Amit's theater, his favorite hangout spot. He starts memorizing the whole place, the dimensions, the stairs. He drops a bead to judge the height and practices running without his cane on the stairs. He learns the place is full of bottles. Suddenly, he hears Amit and Wasim coming in drunk. Rohan hides quickly and records their conversation to capture their voice pitch because he needs to mimic them for his plan. Later, he goes to a speech by Shalar and records his voice too. He sits in his unfinished apartment listening to their voices, imagining Sue is there with him in every step. The next day, he mimics Shalar's voice, calls Lauti from a phone booth at the train station and orders him to deal with Wasim because he's a bad influence on his brother Amit, specifically to arrest him temporarily to teach him a lesson. Lauti follows orders immediately and locks Wasim up for 3 days. Then, Rohan calls Lubna, Wasim's sister, waits for her dad to take the phone and speaks as Amit, saying he wants her to come to a hotel room so they can talk, offering to pay whatever she wants. The father flips out and decides to kill Amit. He goes to find him, slaps him in the face, and tells him to stay away from his daughter or he'll kill him. Amit has no clue what he did to deserve that slap. Rohan continues his plan to turn everyone against each other. He calls Lubna again, mimicking Amit, asking her to meet him urgently at the old roof. Then he calls Amit, mimicking Lubna, saying she wants to meet him at the old roof. Finally, he calls Lubna's dad, acting like a concerned citizen, telling him to go to the old roof immediately to catch his daughter with Amit. The dad rushes there, finds his daughter with Amit, and tries to kill him, but Amit stabs the dad and throws him off the roof right in front of Lubna. The dad is rushed to the hospital, and just like that, Rohan's revenge has begun. Lubna reports what happened, but the report goes to Lauti first, who tells Shalar. Rohan continues prepping, buying lots of equipment. Wasim gets out of jail and goes to Shalar. Shalar manages to convince him to drop the report against Amit, bribing him by covering all his dad's hospital bills, plus threatening him that he was the one who got him out of the suitcase, and it could easily be reopened. Wasim withdraws the complaint against Amit. Rohan calls Wasim, mimicking Amit's voice, asking him to meet at the theater ASAP. Wasim goes and finds the floor covered in expired potato chips. As soon as he steps closer, he sees Rohan standing there and the lights go out. Because Rohan has the place memorized, he runs at Wasim, beats him up, and hangs him by the neck until he dies, just like his wife died. They investigate and find Amit's handkerchief at the crime scene with his initials on it. Chaube says it's clear the friendship turned into a feud. He goes to Shalar and tells him if he finds out Amit had anything to do with the murder, he'll arrest him. Wasim is buried. Sue's watch is thrown into the dirt to be buried as she requested. Rohan is at the funeral. On his way home, Chaube spots him, visits him, and asks why he was at the funeral. Rohan pretends he didn't know it was Wasim's funeral, finds it weird that he came to mourn someone who never hurt him or his wife, according to the law. He notes the law can't arrest anyone without evidence, and no detective has ever arrested a blind man. Chaube says he'll be watching him, and their next meeting might be at the station. Rohan couldn't care less. Chaube goes to the station, asks Lodi for Wasim and Amit's call records to see if any strange numbers called them. Amit has been hiding out of town this whole time. Rohan gets his location and number, calls him mimicking Lodi's voice, and says they have to meet because they found his handkerchief at the crime scene. He says he knows who killed Wasim and will try to kill Amit too, but he can't say it over the phone, so meet at the same warehouse where they held Rohan and Sue. Amit believes it's really Lodi, gets the address, and heads there. Rohan heads there too. Rohan memorizes the layout, stands behind the door with a stick to hit Amit as soon as he enters, but Amit walks in wearing a helmet so the hit doesn't do much. They fight, Amit grabs the stick and beats Rohan until Rohan manages to grab a second stick and hits Amit with all his might, knocking him out. When Amit wakes up, he's tied to the floor. Rohan tells him he won't be the one to kill him. He takes Amit's phone, calls Shalar, screams for help giving the location and begging him to come save him. After hanging up, Rohan floods the floor with gasoline, locks the warehouse door, places a large lit candle behind it, tapes Amit's mouth shut, and tells him his own brother is going to burn him. As soon as Shalar arrives, he rushes the door and breaks it down. The candle falls onto the gas, the fire ignites Amit and the whole warehouse, causing an explosion. Amit burns to death right in front of Shalar's eyes. Rohan is already far away, heading home to hide his wounds. Only one person left in the plan, Shalar himself. A neighbor's kid asks Rohan to call his school principal and mimic his mom's voice so he doesn't get in trouble for skipping school. Rohan agrees and mimics the kid's mom, but this happens right in front of Chowbi. Chowbi tells him the secret is in his voice. That's how he moves people around with a simple call. He warns him that in 24 hours, Amit and Wasim's call records will show who called them. Rohan thanks him for letting him know he has 24 hours, which is plenty of time. Says he's ready to tell the truth if he answers one question. If it was your wife who was raped by Wasim and Amit, what would you have done? Doesn't wait for an answer. He calls Laudi to put Rohan under house arrest until the records come in. A police car parks outside his house. Night comes. Rohan's brother shows up with 3 women in niqabs or burqas. Laudi stops them, wanting to see faces because Rohan might be one of them. He asks them to step aside and lift the veils. Incense smoke fills the area at that moment. Neither Rohan nor any of the women are hiding him. Just then, Chowbi gets a tip that 4 different numbers called Amit and Wasim from a single address. Chowbi heads there. He arrives at the train station phone booth where Rohan made all his calls, but the booth is closed, so he has to wait until 7 a.m. And heads to Shalar, tells him he knows who killed his brother and wants money in exchange for the name. Shalar offers him whatever he wants. Agrees, telling him he'll be there tomorrow at 7:30 with the killer and a witness, because if he just gave the name, Shalar wouldn't believe it. This way, the case closes, Shalar gets rich and promoted. Morning comes. Rohan is sitting by the sea. Chowbi walks up and says the answer to his question is that he would have killed anyone who touched his wife without mercy. So, he answered his own question. Now it's time for Rohan to answer his question. Chowbi asks, how did you escape your house and kill Shalar between night and dawn? Rohan starts explaining. He escaped with the help of his friend and the incense seller who smoked up the area. He was riding on the back of the neighbor kid's bike, controlling the steering from behind while the kid pedaled, so nobody would suspect a blind man on a bike. That was step 1. Then he called Shalar, confessed everything, and gave him the address of the apartment being built for Sue. When Shalar arrived, he had his bodyguard. Rohan made the bodyguard chase him, and the guy fell into the elevator shaft Rohan had uncovered. Then he had Shalar one-on-one. Even though Shalar had a gun, he couldn't kill Rohan because Rohan knew the apartment layout better. Rohan managed to steal the gun. Before killing him, he told him death wouldn't be easy. He wouldn't shoot him, but would torture him like he tortured Amit. He beat him, broke his bones, dragged him to the edge of the building, and said he'd jump with him, but only Shalar would die. Rohan tied a safety rope around his waist and jumped. Rohan stayed hanging by the rope while Shalar fell and hit the street, dead. So he took revenge on everyone who killed his wife, achieved justice himself, and committed the perfect crime. Plus, there's zero evidence against him. It looks like Amit killed his buddy Wasim, and Shalar found out, killed his brother to save his career, then got consumed by guilt and committed suicide by jumping off the building. The bodyguard just fell by accident. Chowbi applauds his plan but says the perfect crime doesn't exist because he forgot the most important witness, the phone booth owner. Chowbi pulls out his phone, takes a picture of Rohan, and walks over to the booth owner to identify him. Rohan tells him, I told you, you'll understand everything but won't be able to explain it. Chowbi asks the owner if he saw the guy in the photo making calls. The owner turns around and he's blind too. The only evidence Chowbi had is gone. Rohan succeeded in avenging his wife and pulling off the perfect crime with absolutely no proof to convict him. And that's the end of the movie. Alright, that's a wrap, my friend. Make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment from the heart. If you're really feeling the love, share this video with your crew. And yo, check out the channel. I've got tons of videos you're gonna vibe with. Catch you in the next one.